podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news. My name is Chris. And this week, we're celebrating the 4th of July with a new Captain America photo. I know it's not the fireworks you were wanting, but it's the best we can do. Okay, Jim? Calm down. But instead, how about this? We've got we've got photos, on-set photos of Green Lantern and Hawkgirl on Superman right now. And I know if anyone is a Superman fan who listens to this show, it is you. So I'm happy you're here to talk about these Superman set photos that have cluttered my feed on that. Yeah, he exactly knew he was feeding. This is all for you, actually. This is the James Gunn. We call him Jim Gunn. Is it you? Are you Jim Gunn? Is that your secret identity? You're filming this movie. I knew it. Hellboy's Crooked Man trailer debuts, which is brand new for everybody, and more. So I want to go ahead and thank Superfan Jim for stepping in today. I appreciate you coming out and joining me on the show today, this summer, and filling in for Mike. He's irreplaceable, but you know what? We're going to try our hardest today to fill that void. So thank you for stepping up here and joining me today for the show. Yeah. Absolutely. Jim has been to several C2E2 conventions with us, or at least me, and then everybody else along the go. So we met. We've been in person. We've been in person friends as well. We're not just show buddies. So that's always a plus. But I want to go ahead. We start the show. We always talk about what we're doing, what we're up to. I would say this week for me has been it's been the holidays, right? It's a 4th of July week. It's really a short week for everybody. And despite my best intentions, I haven't done anything, and that's actually a good feeling, right? To not do anything for once, not have anything kind of going on. And with that comes the introduction of Magneto and Fortnite, as I was telling Jim. Jim has played Fortnite, so he understands the skins, but we get a Magneto finally in there, and the timing's interesting. And I was going to pitch it to you because we are in the month of our Lord Deadpool, right? We are within the month of Marvel Jesus himself. And I was like, they already did Deadpool several years ago. They've said they have at least 3 Wolverine skins in the game. There's Magneto. Is there anything, any character you would want to see from Marvel, even legacy stuff like Magneto that you would want to see in the game that you've not seen yet? Yeah. So he actually has one of the item. You run around with guns like everybody else. It plays just the same, but there is a power, Magneto's power in the game where he picks up a blob of metal and throws it, and then you can also use metal as a shield. So anyone can use it, not just Magneto, because that's how the game works. But it is very handy against the vehicles in the game, kind of going on right now, because they do a lot of damage to those. So that's been a huge plus. And you get a Wastelander Magneto skin, which is a Fortnite unique skin, but then once you do all the quests, you get the classic purple and fuchsia Magneto skin, the very clean one. So it's very, very sweet. You mentioned his glider is him forming metal stepping down, which always takes me back to X-Men 2, when Magneto breaks out of his little prison cell and uses the metal to walk across. So that's always cool. One of the characters, actually, I was thinking about this the other day for X-Men. There's a lot of X-Men characters in the game because obviously they're very easy to adapt, but there's no Cyclops. I was like, they should probably get a Cyclops in here because literally everybody else from the X-Men is in there. Minus, I don't think Beast is, but for a staple of X-Men, especially with X-Men 97, Cyclops would be a good one to kind of throw in there as well. But, he is. He is. I have him. He's really cool. that surprisingly, a character who uses exclusively guns is not in there. So, absolutely, that's a good one. Yeah, but other than just killing my, go ahead. Yeah, one of my favorite. So one of the quote unquote pickaxes you have is actually that you can get is a Hulk gloves that you can put on any character, and you can actually swap them to become Hulk Buster gloves. So one of my favorite things is use Thanos with Hulk Buster gloves on, because he looks funny like that. So, um, yeah, it's a lot of fun mixing and matching, and with Disney, putting a couple $1 billion into Epic and the Fortnite engine, we're gonna see a lot more. So I know Jack Sparrow is the I think one of the first Disney live action characters dropping this month as well in the game. The last one was Jack Skellington. So if your name's Jack, you have a pretty good chance of popping up in this game. It sounds like, but yeah. Yeah, that was a seasonal one, which is I understand why things are locked behind the season, right? You had the FOMO, you want to play, you want to get them, but at the same time, I'm like, for the right people, they'll drop money to buy that stuff like at extra cost because they didn't get to play it at the time, right? So maybe one day they could bring some of these back or have events to unlock older skins. Like I said, Deadpool was a seasonal skin years ago, and with Deadpool and Wolverine coming out, there's a chance to bring Deadpool back. So I'm like, how are you going to do that without, there's a lot of internet crybabies who'd be like, oh, I had it first, I don't want anyone else to have it. I don't care. It's a video game. If anyone can have it, let them play it. Like it doesn't make it, the rarity doesn't make it any more fun for anybody else. So hopefully they do that. But other than me playing Fortnite, what have you been up to, John? That's really all I got, because other than that, just lighting off fireworks to no extent. What about you been up to? Uh-huh. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah. Yeah. It's spooky because it's ghosts. Like a lot of spooky ghosts in there. I've played. Have you ever played the arcade version of Luigi's Mansion, where you actually get to have like? Okay, yeah, I have a downloaded version to play, and it's fun, but I think having the packs would be really cool in person, right? So, absolutely. But yeah, go ahead. Oh, I love Ghost. That's one of my favorites. That's the best flavor they have by far. I do enjoy their Sour Patch Kids red flavor as well, but you are absolutely barking up the right tree with the pink lemonade there. Mm-hmm. Oh, get on steam our broccoli. Let's hear about it. Come on, let's. We haven't had one of those in a minute. Mm-hmm. High Republic. Mm-hmm. So I haven't watched it yet, and I haven't watched it yet. And it's not because of complaints or I'm scared of. We just again haven't really. You got to sit down and watch these shows. They're hour-long shows or so, and you got to really kind of do that. And we like to watch them together here. I would say one of the cool parts about the show being so far back in time, nobody's safe. Nobody like I know there's a couple characters who show up, have longer lives in Star Wars universe because they're not humanoids, but like literally no one is safe at any point, and I think that's an interesting concept, right? Because none of these characters make it into the Skywalker saga proper. So that to me, that's exciting to go in with these people that don't have any connections, that don't have to have a destiny, that don't have to have anything tied to them, and see kind of what that story is. And honestly, it doesn't feel to that point like required viewing to enjoy Star Wars as a whole, but it is great to expand on other timelines and other places, especially when you get to see the downfall of the Jedi, the hubris, that how do they start to get so smug that they let literally a Sith into the Senate to control them for several years. So I'm excited to watch it myself with that, knowing that I've read the High Republic books, the novels. Kind of makes me a little more excited about that era of time and space. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. It's like and nothing against Andor. Love Andor, but he isn't gonna die in his show because we know where he lives. He comes out right. That was when we were very wrong about it before. Like obviously he's not gonna die, but everybody else doesn't have that luxury around him. So that's the exciting part of that. What else? Anything else you've been doing? You want to tack on there? Is this spawned by your playthroughs of Luigi's Haunted Mansion and your Ghost Energy drink? I'm feeling a theme here. It's a little early for Halloween, but you can have it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a fad. It'll pass. Don't worry. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I was concerned when I got a message from you at 3:30 in the morning. I'm like, how is he going to be able to record tomorrow if he's messaging me this early? But you've recovered. You've come back. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. I mean, I think that's. Oh yeah, I think it'll be a good time for you to check that out and kind of go with it. But yeah, you'll have to keep us posted on if you find anything and if in fact busting makes you feel good, because obviously that's what Ghostbusters say.
If only they still made Echo cooler.
Yeah, if only. You'd be living large. So let's I'm gonna go ahead and we'll start a shuffle. So this isn't really a topic, but I'm gonna go ahead and put an asterisk out here because I've been seeing a lot of things on the internet about Deadpool fan events over in Asia. And I believe this might even get a Chinese release. I'm not sure yet, but South Korea for sure. They're doing Deadpool fan events. They're screening the film, at least parts of the film. So there are the potentialities that these could be spoilers fully leaked to the internet, story plot points, neither confirmed nor denied by the scoopers yet, but I don't want people to be looking up Deadpool here in the final weeks up until its arrival and then being ruined by things posted in the last minute other than trailers. So if you are of the kind who uses social media blocking keywords, now is the time to really double down on that. Don't delay any longer, because that's going to be happening sooner than later. And if I pull up my calendar, and I believe it's correct because it's hard to believe it's the 7th, 2.5 weeks until my screening. Jim, when are you when's yours when are you seeing it? Opening weekend?
I am seeing it at 3:40 in the afternoon on Thursday the 25th.
25th, yep. So I've got mine as well. So very, very excited to dive into that. But I just want to go ahead and tell everyone, put the keywords up, stop looking up Deadpool stuff, and pay attention, because that is happening around the corner. But let's jump into our first topic, and is related simply because Shawn Levy is apparently not directing Avengers 5, Jim. And my guess is that this movie is coming up. They're going to be filming it soon, that we will get an announcement of who is directing it, probably at San Diego Comic-Con in like 3 weeks.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you have any guesses?
I don't. I have no guesses at all. Honestly, I always think these movies, the last the four Avengers movies, really, it was 2 directing teams. Well, Joss Whedon did the first 2, the Russo brothers did the second 2, and really, Age of Ultron is probably the weakest of the link, but that was a time, the first era of Marvel was still done by committee, and so that was a committee film that kind of suffered from that. But then you obviously became a big Infinity War and Endgame. So I really think what they need is like a good writing team and a good directing team, because the more people you have on this stuff, not a lot, but like you don't need everybody, but like the more people you have involved, I think the better it's going to be. And I think I've said that plenty of times on the show. So I don't think it's going to be the Russo brothers, but you could get a directing team involved, or maybe a director, like we said, who has a vision, who knows what they're doing. Sam Raimi did really good on Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. I don't think this is multiversal yet, but you need to know someone who can handle multiple characters on the script side, and then someone who could also handle how to shoot that and get that done on the directing side, get the best out of the actors. And I think the actors are the least of my concern. They've already got those. They're not really bringing in a whole lot of new people, if anything. But I just don't know. But there's I would say a lot of anticipation, a lot of hype riding on this. Right? Yeah. We are. It'll be 7 years before since the last Avengers movie came out. So it's not like it's we're getting it every 3 years, every 4 years. It's going quite a bit. But I mean, I've got no names on my docket. I would love to see who they come up with. Jim, who do you have on yours list?
You've already mentioned it. I really want Sam Raimi, especially after Multiverse of Madness. I think he's got the experience and the like you said, the vision. I think he would make a very wonderful looking movie.
Now, would you rather have him on Avengers 5, or would you have him on Secret Wars?
Good question.
Because it sounds to me like a Secret Wars because of Multiverse of Madness. I think he would play in different visual styles and that wackiness a little better there than I think the setup to it. Because if you look at Infinity War and Endgame, like Infinity War was more of a bunch of battles happening, whereas Endgame was more time travel, like revisiting stuff. So I think these movies should have that distinction as well amongst them.
I guess in my mind, I've had it that Secret Wars was going to be like the, I guess you'd call it like the John Wick 4 of the Marvel universe, where, I know one of the famous sayings on here is you can't hold anything back at all.
Yeah.
And I think that's when they need to let it go. Like
Yep.
you've got everything built up, you've got the multiverse. So I want like every action scene to be something that people's jaws just drop. So I would almost say in that regard, yes, you need your character development and all that, because that's really where Marvel shines. But they're more than just action movies. But for that one, I think you're going to need a really strong action director and like a good choreography team. You know what? Actually, for that one, get the guy. Well, he already dropped out though, didn't he? That did Shang-Chi.
Oh, well, it was just this first one. I don't know if he'll do that. I mean, the Secret Wars is up for grabs, I think, for anybody at this point. But
Okay,
you've got
if he got that one, I think he could rock that one.
Yeah, I think he did. I liked his individual fighting scenes, but I don't think the group ones at the end were that compelling, right? Of Shang-Chi. So, I think I would have done it the other way, where he did 5 and somebody else did Secret Wars. But
okay.
They have to be able to handle the scale and the scope of it. I agree with you. I just think if they're doing Battle World and they're doing true Secret Wars, and they have to say, here's this universe and here's this universe and they're all visually different, you got to have someone who can really make sure they stand out. So whether that's Sam Raimi or not, or somebody else, maybe it's the I can't think of their name, the Everything Everywhere All at Once duo doing that one.
Oh yeah, those guys would be great,
because they did that multiverse movie really well, and then they are a directing duo. So I think that would be a huge grab if they could get them and work with them on that.
Yes. No, you hit the nail on the head on that one. That would be amazing.
Yeah. So I don't think we'll get anything for that this year, but we're 3 weeks away from really hitting home with all of our notes and announcements from San Diego Comic-Con, which I'm gonna move some notes around here. Actually, our next thing is going to be our thumbnail image is actually they're setting up for San Diego Comic-Con right now. And with that, you can actually get a preview of some of the new Fantastic Four artwork on those banners as they're hanging off the street. So you get to see Reed Richards, Johnny Storm in a stylized fashion, Sue Storm, and the Thing on another banner in a stylized fashion. And they say, celebrating the popular arts, Comic-Con International, obviously. But what's cool about these is, obviously they're not the actual actors. They seem to be silhouettes. And you may be like, oh, Chris, this probably is for the comic books, right? Well, no, because at the bottom it says Marvel Studios, Fantastic Four. And then at the bottom of that, it says the Future Foundation, which is really cool because the Future Foundation is an organization they set up in the comic books several years ago. So it looks like, when we get to the Fantastic Four, they will have already been existing. The Future Foundation will be something they're working with. I really enjoy their use of on these banners, and I'll let you go here at first, is that we can see Reed Richards' silhouette. He's got the gray temples, the gray hair on the bottom. Johnny Storm, orange with fire. Sue Storm, the dotted outlines for the classic invisible look from the comic books from like the 60s and 70s. And then the orange rocky Ben Grimm, aka the Thing, as well. Reed doesn't show his powers, but I really enjoy these classic 60s looking kind of silhouettes on these characters. Jim, what do you make of this stuff?
Yeah, they're very minimalist, and I think that actually works well in building some hype of just like, okay, I want details. No, I like the way the Thing looked, and I thought it was kind of interesting. I know it's based in an alternate 60s, but Sue's got the bob haircut.
It's almost like that.
So,
it's a very hyper accentuated curl as well, if you will.
Yes. Like, not quite like the Aeon Flux version, but yeah, it's it was good. I was kind of surprised by that because I didn't know if they would have Vanessa Kirby with long hair, because everyone else in the movies has had the long hair. So, not that that's a make or break thing, but it was just an interesting observation.
Yeah, it feels true to the era, doesn't it? Right, like that's the thing. Like you Reed and Johnny both have the the high and tight haircuts, as you can kind of tell as well. Knowing it's Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, and can't think of his name. He's actually in the Quiet Place Day One in Stranger Things guy, Johnny Storm. But either way, really, like you said, you nailed it. It's minimalistic. It's just couple colors, couple outlines, but that makes me feel like even though they're filming Marvel Studios Fantastic Four the day after San Diego Comic-Con, they're going to be bringing something there, Jim. They're going to be bringing something big to their presentation. So probably bring them all up on stage. Maybe we'll see more of the suits, or maybe get some confirmation on the casting. Maybe a Galactus concept art.
Yeah. I was gonna say, do you think they're going to go? I know Marvel in the late '60s and early '70s kind of went psychedelic, especially with their cosmic stuff. Do you think they're going to do that with the Fantastic Four, or it's going to be more straight-laced?
I don't think it'll be that wild. I think, knowing that it's in an alternate universe, they've already got, they're already set that they've got a gender swap Silver Surfer. They've got a Galactus. They have possibly a Mole Man or whoever. They have a bunch of actors coming in without actual roles assigned to them. So I don't think they're going to go that trippy. But again, knowing that it's Matt Shakman from WandaVision, they have plenty of opportunities to push those visuals differences, right? And then we talked about that with Secret Wars. If they want to go real visual, real hyper stylized, lean into that retro futuristic 60s and possibly psychedelic 70s in space, they very well could, right? And lean into that without I wouldn't question them. I'd be like, yeah, that sounds right. That looks good to me.
Yeah, same here. So I think from our conversations, I've not been growing up reading comic books. The Fantastic Four has not been the top of my list. Just my personal opinion. I'm not attacking you for your interest or anything. I've never found them. I've never found them super interesting. And then their movies to me were kind of boring. And I didn't even watch this last one based off of you guys talking about it, actually. But this one I'm actually really getting excited for. You've exposed me a little bit to the Jonathan Hickman run, and I liked what he did. And if they're going to use that for any form of basis for this movie, I think we're in for something completely different, and that could be really good.
He did write some of the FF books, which stands for either Fantastic Four Future Foundation, in the middle of his run. So absolutely, that's kind of where I didn't grow up with Fantastic Four. They kind of ran the gamut by the time I kind of grew into comic books. I know they had a couple animated shows. They'd already grown up. They'd had the kids. They were, it was kind of, it was just boring. It was like, yeah, we've done this. They've become parodies of themselves. But to bring them back around, in more recent years with that stuff, it brought me into the fold, especially with Jonathan Hickman's run that he read. And then he did 2 runs, so one run, and then he took a break, and then came back and finished it. And he actually even wrote into Secret Wars, that was his stuff. So a lot of the movies have borrowed from his work, and that gives me excited knowing that he wrote a very, very long game for Doctor Doom and Reed Richards in his books that he got to pay off in Secret Wars. So hopefully we can see some of that payoff here. Moving on to the next topic.
Yeah, I'm excited.
We've got Captain America Brave New World for the 4th of July. For all of our American listeners out there, they officially released it appears to be a promo seal. It looks like it was set up to take a photo of someone filming Anthony Mackie on set in his new outfit. Historically, I put this in here with Mike in mind. No offense, Jim. Knowing that we both, as a whole, Anthony Mackie cannot hold anything on his own. However, I don't mind seeing him in the Captain America suit that they've designed for this. I like it better than the white one. It's more low key, fits the style of that. It's an homage to the Winter Soldier suit with a little more red in it. Yeah. He seems to be a little more stoic in this, and that goofiness that we always kind of chide him on. I'm like, but I don't think this is a real photo because there's that big Captain America logo on the side of the camera if they're filming. But it is kind of interesting to take a look at. But I'm not hating this. This doesn't give me any red flags. Makes me feel good to see the suit and this high detail resolution on it.
Yeah, for sure. And like you said, I really enjoy the throwback, the homage, whatever you want to call it, to the Winter Soldier suit, which is my favorite movie suit. Mm-hmm. Because of like its simplicity. And yeah, I'm digging this one too. The white one wasn't bad. I mean, I didn't hate it, but this is definitely, I think, a step in a better direction.
Yeah, well, the white, again, I don't hate the white either. I think it was a highlight, of the Falcon Winter Soldier when they unveiled it and the vibranium stuff, but it sticks out like a sore thumb, right? Like, it's very contrasty to everything, and this feels muted colors. It feels more like he's turned into maybe, a Captain America soldier rather than just, hey, I need to be an icon and visually distinctive. This feels like, oh, he's actually going to be doing some stuff. Like, right, we've seen them filming recently in Georgia with Giancarlo Esposito on set and all that stuff. And I've heard those scenes have wrapped. They've wrapped on the reshoots for the re-edit. So this comes just in time to kind of show us that. I like it. I want to see it in action. I want to see the movie, but I really just enjoy this outfit that they've crafted for this movie here.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you on this one.
Nice. Maybe I think we're gonna get some footage and updates for this movie at San Diego as well. So we'll come back and report on that here in a couple weeks.
With a year out.
Go ahead.
Do you think it's it's going to be a trailer or just like a sizzle reel?
Well, it could be either way because it is the next Marvel movie after Deadpool, right? So I think if anything, I don't think it'll be an official trailer, knowing that it's a year out. But I think they'll show something there on site, and it may be public because of this movie. Like the toys are already at McDonald's, right? Like we don't have to, like they're already delayed this by a year or more. So like, we already kind of know some of the bullet points. They've changed a lot of the things. I do think we're gonna see, maybe get some stills officially released, maybe a quick sizzle reel for everybody else, but they don't need to keep this one secret anymore because it's been around. It's been through the ringer, if you will, a time or two.
Yeah.
No,
that's cool.
Yeah. So the other things I think we'll see at San Diego Comic-Con, we got some updates for this week from Brad Winterbaum, the guy who runs Marvel Animation, and Eyes of Wakanda is one of the shows that we've heard is coming out later this year. And Brad confirmed that the animated show is the most animated show that's most set in the MCU because it's featuring Wakandan history in the MCU rather than What If is other stories. X-Men 97 is completely different. This animation is essentially telling the history of Wakanda in animation, and it's produced by Black Panther director Ryan Coogler and Todd Harris, who was a storyboard, I think artist or like animation artist or something, action scenes for Thor Ragnarok. He designed the Thor versus Hulk scenes in the Coliseum for that movie. Okay. So obviously we've talked about in length of the animation, the animators kind of getting some of their comeuppance and coming out in this with Eyes of Wakanda. So I'm surprised we haven't seen any footage. I've heard this is 3D animated. This is not What If style. This is not X-Men 97 style. It's going to be look entirely different. And I've even heard we'll see historically Iron Fists and maybe some Greek gods when they were in the old history of the Earth along the way. Is there anything in particular you're looking for in this one?
No, I guess I don't know a ton about this one. I mean, I'm aware of what Wakanda is and all that, but no, I wasn't aware that it was going back into the past like that. I think that'll be really cool, especially if they can show some designs of like certain eras. Mm-hmm. And they can change up the designs for like Wakanda, the armor, anything. I think they got a good idea going here.
I think the cool thing about it, I think this is something we will get a trailer from if they're going to show it this year. I do think we'll get a trailer out of this. That is public facing at San Diego Comic-Con. So I would love to see it. Love to see it. If it's 6 episodes, even better. Give us something short and easy to bite into, and tell us some history about the world in Wakanda, and that'll be cool with me. A little filler, if you will, along the way. And
yeah, for sure.
And you've also kind of followed with us as we've talked about the upcoming Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, which was previously known as Spider-Man Freshman Year. And they've confirmed that the showrunner is Jeff Trammell, who was the showrunner on the Craig of the Creek show, which I know Mike was a big fan of. I've not watched it myself, but he also mentioned that there's an ensemble of characters outside of Peter Parker, Nico Minoru, Lonnie Lincoln, whoever that is, and Harry Osborn. Three of these names ring a bell: Peter Parker, Harry Osborn, but Nico Minoru is known. She's in Midnight Suns. She was in the Runaway show. She has a character who has called the Staff of One, so she can make wishes with it, and she can only make that wish once, I guess wish into the staff once, and it does the wish. So very interesting to see that her name's popping up in the show as well.
Yeah. No, I would say I'm excited, but what do I want to say? I'm taking this one with a bit of a grain of salt. It seems like they reboot Spider-Man about once every 3 years. So, how am I trying to say? I'm excited to see it, but at the same time, I'm not expecting a whole lot just yet. I don't know who's had the more reboots, the Ninja Turtles or Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
And Spider-Man, yeah.
There's more versions of Spider-Man. There's more. I think there's just more versions of Spider-Man, right? That's why they're able to do it. Because I hate to say it, but Spider-Man and Batman are like the 2 biggest toys. Right? Like they sell out of everyone. For sure. There's the animated Spider-Man and his friends or whatever it is that's going on like Disney Plus or Disney XD right now. People. I have friends with kids who love that show. So Spider-Man can live in a lot of different things. Turtles, a little hard to sell to kids these days.
Yeah, but no, I'm looking forward to it. I want to see how they handle it. I really want to see it in action because a little while ago they released some of the character designs. Yeah, yes, and
I think it was D23 or maybe it was New York Comic-Con where they did all the designs, because as people may not remember, that this is not a retelling of the MCU. This is not a continuation of MCU. This is a Spider-Man in a different universe where like Norman Osborn is his tutor and like giving him the suits and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see what the different take is, but I don't think it's going to be a required watching for anybody, right? It kind of feels like hey, we need to make, this is a product of, we need to make a lot of content. We need to make a lot of content fast. And Spider-Man, obviously, we can't make live-action Spider-Man because Sony owns that, so we can animate him to our heart's content for this. So
yeah,
absolutely, we'll see with that. But
I mean,
yeah, go ahead.
Hopefully, I'm proven wrong, and it's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, something animated that looks to be awesome, and obviously, we have a group chat with another listener show, Jason. We talked about last week, and I forgot to put it in last week's notes, but that is Batman: The Caped Crusader. The animated show that's coming to Prime had a trailer, and it revealed obviously the voice cast, but also this trailer tells a story a little bit, and again reminds us that the new voice actor for Batman is voice actor Hamish Linklater. So this trailer kind of gives to me, Jim, that the show is it's not week 1 Batman. It's later than that, but it's not year 1 Batman because it's not that far. It seems like a week 2 or week 3 Batman setting kind of going on in Gotham here. And I like the music. The music was really cool. Hearing the actors was really cool. Seeing the designs of like Two-Face. Obviously, we've talked about the very different take on Harley Quinn. I think we saw Catwoman, Clayface. To me, this was a cool trailer to watch. It has me a little more excited for this show than it did before, because it is produced by Bruce Timm, who is known for the animated Batman animated series in the 90s, and it feels like it could live in parallel with that show very easily on this trailer. What do you think?
Yeah. So I'm old enough that Batman animated series was a very big deal in my childhood. Um, that's like, there's no like about it. That is my favorite cartoon. Um, and to see this kind of come back around full circle and have first Tim back, I would love to see if Paul Dini had anything to do with it later. Um, my only regret is that Kevin Conroy is not around to do the voice. But like you said, Amish Linklater, is that how you say his name?
Yeah,
Linklater?
yeah, we'll take it.
He sounded awesome. Like I was blown away. I couldn't even believe that was him. And the other thing that struck me about the trailer was that so their costumes have been redesigned for more of the very, very classic Batman, like Golden Age. And the Catwoman is back in her like purple and green outfit from the very beginning. And they showed a scene where Batman and her are chasing each other on a rooftop. And I didn't expect her to move the way that she did. Because I guess I'm thinking back to like the older cartoons or even like the older show where it's just a lot of standing around and posing and talking.
Yeah.
But no, they had her moving the way we think of Catwoman moving. It's just she has the appearance of, or the costume of her old Golden Age self. And that, I just was blown away by that too. I think this one's in very good hands.
Yeah. Well,
oh, go ahead.
Well, no, it's fine. I was to that point, the movement, there's a scene later on. It looks like we're like maybe some sort of like spectral or like a apparition or something takes over Alfred in a graveyard. It looks like, I think it's Alfred. So I was like, oh, they're actually going to lean into some of those supernatural aspects of Batman, not just the realism. We're getting all the realism in the movies, right? Like the Batman, and then obviously Zack Snyder stuff didn't really have a Batman solo film, so we couldn't really get more out of him. So they're very much leaning into I wouldn't say it's not necessarily supernatural, but the outlandishness of Batman and his characters in this. And that's, I think, to me is really cool with that as well. But continue.
Oh, I was just going to say that going along with your point, I think they're redesigning Clayface in this, where it's not like a big clay monster, but it's somebody that can change his face, like almost like the Chameleon in Marvel.
Yeah, it looked like he got punched in the face, didn't he? And it took like the fist and like smushed the face around a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's not like the great big monster, but like something like the Killer Croc or even Solomon Grundy could live really easy in this universe. And man, like I said, this is probably one of the things I'm most excited about this summer, other than Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yeah. So in that case, chalk it up August 1st on Amazon Prime, another win for Amazon lately, right? Really, snatching this up, huge win. So for those who have Prime already, you can watch this with your Prime account for free with ads, or you can pay to remove the ads, however you feel about that. In the Batman universe, so we've been promised / threatened with more Batman series. Other than the Penguin, we talked about the Arkham Asylum that was supposed to spin out of Matt Reeves' Batman, and then it became a DC universe Arkham Asylum and kind of live alongside things like Peacemaker and Waller. But both versions of this movie, the live action series, is completely scrapped. It is no longer moving forward. So I think that's fine. I don't think we need a second TV show in the Batman universe. Let's get the Penguin out of the way and work on getting to the Batman. We don't need anything else set in the Joker universe. And the DCU needs to really establish itself first before over extending itself on extraneous shows along the way. What do you think?
Yeah. No, I agree. And I know Mike has talked about this before too, but the whole let's dive into Batman without having Batman in our show is getting really old. This goes back clear to like Birds of Prey. That Batman was in that for like 10 minutes in the pilot, but even Titans, they referenced him.
Yeah.
I think he showed up in a dream sequence,
Well,
but they went out of their way to not
I think they
have
had
Batman
him later,
proper.
but I think it was Bruce Wayne, wasn't it? Like we cast Bruce Wayne kind of thing, and
Yeah,
but like you're right.
yeah, it was that guy off of
Yeah, I can't think of his
oh,
name
I was
either.
gonna say it was the guy off of Game of Thrones.
Well, that could be
Yeah,
anybody. That was 8 seasons, and everybody was in that show.
true.
But they had Gotham. They've done this. Also
Yeah,
he's
Penguin.
yeah.
Um,
Well, so the Penguin doesn't strike me as bad because that expands the universe that's already established with Batman in it, and he could be in it. I think
right.
that one's fine. Same with the Harley Quinn show, the animated one. Like, I understand it's a Batman character, but she exists in a DC world because she references all the DC characters. So I think that's fine. But
Yeah, but I mean, Batman does show up in that,
right.
hilariously so in a lot of parts. But yeah, I just mean it seems like they want to reap the name Batman without actually putting the cowl on screen,
Yeah.
and it's so weird to me. I don't understand the thought process behind it, but
Yeah.
I'm not an exec in WB, so I don't know.
The thought process is we're precious with our characters, so you can have everyone but the main character, if that's what it is. That's how it feels, right? Because
Yeah,
they've done this and that, so they never really. Like I said, they didn't even give Zack Snyder Batman proper, right? He had to do a Superman sequel to get him, so they're just precious with it.
Yeah.
Along the way. So absolutely, I'm glad they're not doing this. I also don't need Gotham PD. If I'm going to be completely honest, we can
no.
the city itself is not a character, as it was not a character in the movie. So, less is more in this situation. But we're going to move on to
Yeah, I agree.
your favorite topic of the show, Jim, which is Batman, or not Batman, Superman. You're a Superman guy, and I know you've been living large the past week, 3 weeks really, of Superman set photos going on in Ohio. Cleveland, currently it will be moving to Cincinnati later in the month here of July, because the one of the buildings in there is the inspiration for the Hall of Justice. So I've actually included one.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I've included one movie clip here that we have today, where so they actually filmed an explosion of canisters outside in I guess Cleveland, and you kind of get to see it. And if you look closely, you get to see like a little standing character, and this is really fun to actually see how movies are made, because they actually did the drop, they did the explosion, they did the barrels outside, all controlled, which is really cool. And then you get to see two photos: one, Superman protecting himself around a girl, and then the next one we have is the replacement character in the scene. So you get to see, hey, here's the film, the clip we're gonna impose on this. Then here's how we filmed it with the blue screen, because we're gonna put Superman over this blue explosion. And to me, the really cool part about the filmmaking process is none of it, like, yes, it's compositing two things together, but they didn't CGI the explosion. They may enhance it later, but they actually blew up. They may be fake barrels, they may be foam, not necessarily real explosions, but like, you get to see the dust, the explosions, the cars, the things dropping, everything around this, and that, I think, is going to make a really cool shot in the end with that.
Yeah, much more practical. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I was excited to see that. I got to admit, with my summer and everything, my dad only lives like an hour about 2 hours from Cleveland. And I've thought about going to visit him and seeing if I couldn't go to the set the way I did on Man of Steel several years ago. But I'm a lot older now, and I just haven't made the trip to go do that. But seeing these set photos has got some serious FOMO going on. But man, I am excited. I know we're going to reference them here in a minute. I'm going to kind of transition into the two guest stars that we've seen in photos this week.
Yeah, we saw them, I think, briefly last week, but boy, did we get the close-ups this week.
Yeah. So that's Guy Gardner, Green Lantern, and Hawkgirl. And I'm wondering if it's not going to be reminiscent of the scene from the beginning of is it the New 52 Justice League, when Batman and Green Lantern show up, and that's the first time they've met Superman,
Oh,
and they kind of fight him for a little bit.
yeah. So yeah, we saw. I think last week it was Mr. Fantastic, Hawkgirl, and Guy Gardner, Green Lantern. I think if not, it was something else I've seen this week because these photos were all over the place and it's so hard to keep track. But they were all walking together, and Superman was kind of behind them. So it looks like maybe they're not fighting him, but like. We're gonna go into this here, so you get to see the Green Lantern. So we can see Guy Gardner, his strawberry blonde bowl cut that they've given to Nathan Fillion, and then Hawkgirl with the mask and her mace. But the second photo I have, the last one here, is Guy Gardner and Superman. You get to see very clearly on this one, and when you compare back to Hawkgirl, they have the Lord Tech logo on their suits. Green Lantern and Hawkgirl, as well as not Mr. Fantastic, Mr. Terrific. Have that Maxwell Lord Tech logo on their suits. So I think we're going to get a world of corporate sponsored superheroes. Like they are a team of corporate sponsored superheroes. Like, and obviously Maxwell Lord will be played by Sean Gunn in this. So he's buying. Green Lanterns don't need tech, but I also know Guy Gardner is like as a Green Lantern fan, he is the most annoying Green Lantern because obviously he's more egotistical, and he's supposed to be very much not your typical Green Lantern. But to see him in here with these suits, the very white suits, the very black or green, like he doesn't look like a Green Lantern, right? He looks like, hey, we're here to show up because we need some publicity. And Hawkgirl has the same thing on hers. If you look it up with her mace and her suit, they all seem very Teamster-esque with their colors. And Mr. Terrific is red and black on his, so maybe we get like a color pattern theme there. And Superman is obviously, he's not in a sponsor suit. He's in a battered red and blue suit. And the second photo I just love because we've talked about the cape possibly being CGI, but that's a real cape and it's billowing in the wind here. Obviously I think they're making it do that. And I think it looks fantastic. Like this is some really cool stuff to see because I didn't think we get to see any of these superheroes until the footage dropped.
Right. Yeah, but the question is, does this go back to like James Gunn answering too much stuff on Twitter or X and Threads or whatever he's on, talking about the production and everything instead of letting it talk for itself?
I think if you're going to be filming outside and using these locations, which you should be doing, right? The locations feel different than a green screen and blue screen. You're going to have these things. And obviously, I think he is smart enough to know he's not filming. Like, I don't get any spoilers from this. We just get first looks. And honestly, this look of Superman is way more interesting as his first look than the one he showed us the first time. Because you get to see the cape, you get to see the logo on the back of the cape, the suit, you get to draw your own, and you're inferring from it rather than him telling you what it is.
Right. So, and I was going to talk about the cape real quick too. I was going to say, I'm old school Superman nerd enough that I like kind of yelped when I saw the yellow S on the back of the cape. I was like, oh man, we're going back to this. Awesome.
Yeah.
So,
it's interesting. I think to me, what I'm drawing the lines here, and this is all what we've made up, and I don't think, James Gunn being online talking about the production is fine, but I don't think we're getting anything too out of the ordinary what we expected based on what they've announced. But I do think it's going to be, we've seen Superman being walked away by the government, I guess Argus people first. Now he's working with the Lord Tech sponsored superheroes. Is he going to be the person who comes in and shakes up he's going to give it a new hierarchy in the DCU, wink wink, if you know what I mean, from a Black Adam reference here, that he is not sponsored. He will not be bought by anybody, and he will not work for the government. He will do what is right for justice and all that other goodness.
Give him the Boy Scout again.
Yeah, and his suit is supposed to represent that he is not Argus black military. He's not Lord Tech sponsored suits. He is, red, blue and yellow / gold. And that's what he's going to be doing out there, is really breaking that mold and challenging what the world thinks of superheroes in the DCU. I think to me, I think the great part is that it's not a brand new world. Like there are already superheroes in it. We're seeing an origin of Superman, sure, but we're not seeing the origin of superheroes. And I think to me, that's a great way to kick it off in here.
Yeah, instead of Superman being the reason other superheroes show up, he's going to, like you've already said, shake up the status quo of what's already there and bring about what I guess I want to say is like don't do things just because that's how they've always been done.
Right.
Do them to do them right.
And he eventually leads.
And so it'll be neat to see how he.
Well, yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, he eventually leads the Justice League, right? Like that's what he gets to. The Justice League are people who are not bought or sold or told what to do. They do it because they do what's right. I think that's what they're going to get into eventually with this. But I would love to know. I want to see it. I want to see maybe. I don't know if Warner Brothers is going to San Diego Comic-Con or James Gunn, but I would love some footage. I'd love to see a trailer, a teaser for this since it's coming out in a year.
No kidding.
So
yeah,
but I knew you were. I knew you were living large with all these photos out here.
Yes, I honestly I am on the edge of my seat and kind of okay. So again, real quick, Steam Broccoli. Sorry, I'm going to address it real quick. Several people have talked to me, because I put this out on Facebook and stuff about like how happy I am, and a lot of people have come back with it. They don't like the suit. They think it's too loose. It doesn't look right. And again, it's that new 52 look. But I go back to what you guys had said about Black Panther and Civil War on those set photos where his suit looked loose and everything else. I want to see it in action. Like set photos are great. Don't get me wrong. They're definitely hyping me. But I'm holding my reservations for any good or bad until I actually see how the suit moves on screen.
Yeah.
I really like the way it looks. I think it's a different step or step in a different direction. It looks more. What do I want to say? Not militant, but like not like tights on purpose.
Well, yeah. It fits into the current trend of how superhero suits look on screen, right? It's not.
Yes.
Oh, this is bad. Oh, this is breaking the mold. It's on par with everything. But I agree with you. As someone who went to school for film production, what you see in a camera and how you edit things is not what a paparazzi sees on set. You've got a zoom lens with lots of things. They're obviously, you don't know, are they filming their heads? Maybe they wear a looser suit on the days they're doing the talking shots, and they don't need to see the whole suit. When they're running, they're cutting, they're trimming, they're replacing, they're fixing things up. Because obviously there's more on scene than when a superhuman moves than just what you see a regular person do. So absolutely, you're the people who's like, oh, I don't like the suit. That's obviously they're gonna be mad now, but whenever the actual show comes around or the footage comes around, they're gonna be singing a different tune. So I wouldn't sweat the small stuff like that. And for people who do, just
I don't. It's just. Yeah, I that's a lesson I learned from you guys a long time ago, and so I'm applying that to this one too. And yeah, I'm pumped. Matter of fact, I hope when you do your review of this next year, maybe I can sneak in for a little bit.
Yeah, we'll give you the Superfan Jim minute where you get to just gush over it for a minute, and we'll let you have your red rosy glasses, since I know you like the character so much.
There you go.
Moving on, I'm actually gonna start this off, and I'm gonna pop a cold drink open, and by that I mean it's just sparkling water. There's no flavor and there's no liquor in it, sadly, but it's fine. So, Supergirl, Woman of Tomorrow, we know is one of the next official titles in the DC universe coming up, and the rumor is that Jason Momoa is being eyed for a role, and for years now he has talked about it. Fans have talked about it, him being Lobo. And the reason I say, yeah, sure, why not, is because Lobo is a spacefaring bounty hunter in the DCU. He operates in the DC universe's space boundaries, and we know Supergirl will be set in space, not on Earth. So I'm going to crack this open, and you let her rip, Jim.
All right. Yeah, I can remember far back enough to when Lobo was going to be a Guy Ritchie movie with I'm blanking the name. The guy from The Walking Dead and
Norman Reedus?
No, it's Supernatural. He was the dad on Supernatural.
Oh, Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yeah, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He was going to be Lobo.
Yep.
And we're talking like 2006, 2007. So I've been wanting a Lobo movie for that long, or at least him on the big screen. Announcing Jason Momoa could be him is honestly, I think that's a really good fit. It is a little weird that he was Aquaman and now he's going to do this, if that is truly what's happening. But I guess it's no different than Chris Evans being the Human Torch in Captain America.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, if you're going to set it out in space, go all out, man. Really, really dig into that, the cosmic side of the DCU.
And I think the cool part about that is he wants to do it and fans want to do it. James Gunn seems to be receptive to social media, right? He obviously is out there on it. He's got his finger on the pulse. I think he could, pull it off, and no one really complained about it, right? Like, make him up, let him have some fun. Obviously, the goateed version of him did not look very well in Fast X, and he's going to be doing Fast 11 next. So we'll see how that goes, but I think it'll be fine. I got no qualms with this along the way, So I'm does not offend me, if you will, to use my line at the end of the day, because I think he'll knock it out of the park. It'll be fun. Hopefully, obviously, if the story is good, we don't have to worry about it, right? So they could put anyone in. I think actors, you can get a good director will get anything out of an actor that they want. So if they want him, do it. Go for it. I see no issues why they shouldn't to do it. So I'm cool with this. I would love to see what he looks like. I think Lobo has a very unique art style, or I guess design to him, like in the comic books, right? Like, he's kind of what's the word? He reminds me of Ghost Rider, but like meets Wolverine. I don't know. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I would love to kind of see what he looks like with it. We've seen fan art to death of this out there. So I don't know. It sounds like we're both on board with it. I don't think there's any big red flag here. But obviously this is only rumor. This is not a confirmation of that. But sounds like Supergirl's kicking off the film is what my long way to say that is.
Right. The other thing is that, I mean, I know Lobo's a very big personality, and I think Momoa's got the charisma, the charm, and I guess you could say even that little bit of an edge of danger to him that could really live up to Lobo's personality. So yeah, I think that's perfect casting.
Yeah. And like I said, other than Fast 11, I don't know what else he's doing. So lock and load.
Right.
Moving on into, we're going to revisit Zack Snyder's Justice League real fast. We've brought up some of his other stuff today, but it looks like he's teasing on Vero, the Zack Snyder social network, a theatrical release for his Justice League version, which we saw on HBO Max, a couple years ago, right? 21 maybe? 22? Had to been.
Yeah.
It had to been 21 because I'm pretty sure when I officially got COVID was the weekend that came out, where I was sick to death, and I was in my old house. So it might have been even late 20, early 21. But this is a trend I've seen lately. I'm not saying, there's there's a lot of desire for Zack Snyder's Justice League to hit theater. This is a Morbius re-release situation. I feel where like, everyone says it's Morbin time, we need to put it back in theaters. Sure. But I've also seen a lot of older movies filling the theaters this year. Remember when all the Spider-Man movies came back out this year? Even like up to No Way Home. Star Wars has been back in theaters. I'm sure there's other ones I'm forgetting.
Lord of the Rings is a big one too.
Lord of the Rings, that was the one I couldn't think of. So I don't see this as like, this is a smart deal. This is just like, hey, we've got some gaps in theatrical releases. Let's throw some of these movies in here because some of those did see, like Spider-Man's did see some money. I'm sure Lord of the Rings is seeing some money. So I don't see an issue with with this. But
I'll be honest.
You got to go see it?
I was gonna say, yeah. I'll be honest. I'll probably go see it if they release it in the theater. I I really enjoyed the Snyder cut of that. So I would definitely go spend my money to at least see it once in the theater. I mean,
Yeah,
actually, if they released it in IMAX, that would be even better. But I don't know if they'll do that.
Well, he did it in the 4:3 though, so I don't think you're gonna ever get an IMAX.
I thought he did it in 4:3 because of IMAX.
No, IMAX is not square. He has that big square.
Okay, I guess I thought the reason he did that was I thought he said he was filming it that way to be for IMAX.
No,
why that is, I don't know.
Yeah, IMAX is a bigger ratio, but I think it's taller and longer. Like it's not quite square. I think he just wanted to do it because I don't even know if any theaters that would show it that way. But do you wish they did was it not black and chrome? That was Mad Max, the black and white version.
Justice is Gray.
Yeah,
or whatever.
Yeah. Do you think they're gonna do that one too?
Yeah.
Yeah, the original.
So. I'll be honest, I hope not, but I would watch it in color.
Yeah. I hope they do the color. I think that would be the better way. But I wouldn't, with the way they done his movies on Netflix, I wouldn't be surprised if they try to do both of them again in theaters that way. So.
Yeah.
Well, last bit of news we have for the show is actually a movie trailer, our only movie trailer this week. And it was unexpected because it is the first trailer for the upcoming movie Hellboy, The Crooked Man, which is, I guess, the second reboot, third iteration of Hellboy to hit the screens. But obviously they can mix and match. Well, I guess the last two were, I guess, introductions to him. This seems to be picking up with Hellboy already existing in the world and is based on a comic book called The Crooked Man. This movie was written by Mike Mignola, who is the creator, writer, and artist of Hellboy, and with help from Christopher Golden, who actually writes Hellboy adjacent comics like BPRD or the Abe Sapien books. So this is coming straight from the author of this, and it's directed by Brian Taylor, half of the directing duo of the Crank films, and the other half of the Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance directing duo. Yeah. So I'm going to tell you right now, first and foremost, I've seen everyone on the internet bitch about this movie because they're like, it looks like a fan film. This is very much a low budget Hellboy movie because obviously the last one that happened that had, can't think of his name, Stranger Things.
David Harbour.
I have no complaints against it. It was a high budget Hellboy movie that failed. All Hellboy movies have not made a lot of money. They are not money making movies, right?
Right.
So they're very much like the Mad Max films. They have a very solid fan base when they hit home, but they are not huge in the theaters. So they've taken it back to a low budget film with the original creators, which is great, awesome. And I am very, very thrilled that this movie looks like a horror film for the first time in Hellboy history. It doesn't look.
Yes, I was going to say that too.
It's not magical. It's not.
Yeah, for sure.
It's mystical. It's like, oh my god, this is horror films, just like the Hellboy comic book was. It was a horror book. People are like, oh, I don't like his blue eyes. Well, go look at the comic book. He has bright white / blue eyes in the comic books as well. So this feels like a true adaptation of it. And whether that's good or not, I don't know. But you can make a cheap movie and have horror, and it doesn't have to be huge and still be successful. So I'm very excited to watch this film when it hits theaters, Jim. So you tell me what you think about it, because I have a history with Hellboy in the comic books. I want to know what you think of this along the way.
I don't have as much history in the comics, but I have enjoyed the movies. I will admit I was a little disappointed when it wasn't David Harbour as Hellboy this time, but the guy that they got seems like he does well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, they actually are leaning really hard into the horror elements, and I think that's going to be good. It makes me think of like almost like a Blumhouse movie.
Yeah.
And those, I like those. I mean, yeah, like you said, they're kind of low budget and they're designed to make a super amount of money the opening weekend, maybe the second weekend, and then that's it. And if they can make that formula work for this, go for it. I would love to see like more sequels pop up, especially if they can maintain a horror edge to them instead of just like eldritch horror from the first one, or even like the fantastical horror of the second one with Ron Perlman.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I was really surprised by this because when I first heard about it, I'm like, ah, great. And then I watched the trailer. I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing, and I'm very interested.
Yeah, a lot of people are like, oh, it's low budget, looks fan film. Well, yeah, that's fine. A good story can look like low budget, but it's horror. Horror films don't really have a high budgets either. I would say
Exactly.
something like Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't think looks exactly over the top great, but it fits the aesthetic. This looks like it fits the aesthetic of the comic books. You go pull up some of the Crooked Man panels, and they feels like they're kind of matching them up one for one. But to me, whether or not the story's good, like I'm glad they're doing something different with it, and that is when you want to reboot. And it's not an origin film, and it's not like, hey, we need to have Hellboy punching these big golden mystical machines, right in the second movie, Ron Perlman's. I'm like, that's great. Guillermo del Toro did great stuff, but like this is very much like hey, this is the Crooked Man essentially in the comics, whether it's here or not, is that it's a demon who is selling souls or stealing souls and selling them to like the devil or something like that, or some other demon.
Oh, okay.
And Hellboy is sent there from the BPRD to figure out what's going on with it. So I just love the horror aesthetics. I'm very happy, and I sound like a broken record, but I was just blown away that they were bold. They had the idea to do something very different with it, and the director looks like we talked about the trailer, someone who has a vision of what he wants to do, and did it with the budget he was given. And not everything needs to be a tentpole film these days to be good and have a good time.
Exactly.
So
like I said, you make it low budget, make it big enough to where it can make its money back, if not double it. Mm-hmm. And you're gold. It's a good formula.
But
I'm excited.
And here's the thing: you make more. You don't have to do sequels. Like Hellboy is just a bunch of comic books. You can tell another story in the Hellboy universe that is just another horror film, or him dealing with paranormal things on Earth that is not obviously the end of the Earth, the end of the world. He's just solving things that are getting out of control, and you can keep making these smaller. They always say more personal stories, but it seems like it in this. Like, hey, he's helping people he doesn't really want to help. He doesn't, know what's going on, how to deal with it. So yeah, keep doing more of these little dudes. You don't have to have a beam of light into the sky that's going to end the universe every time you do something. So
exactly. Yeah, it doesn't have to be world saving every time, for sure. Yeah, I agree. I genuinely hope this one does well. Again, I think they're on the right track, but audiences are fickle. I just hope they dig this as much as. I hope the movie is what they're selling us, for one, and two, I hope it does well enough with audiences to keep going.
Yeah, I think again, low budget. You don't have to bring in the audience. It's going to be R-rated, but also if this gets a lifeline on streaming, I've seen a lot of reports lately that was it The Fall Guy was in theaters and on PVOD, paid video on demand, not streaming, but like you pay for it at the same time for months, and it was still making money. So I think there's opportunity. Like, it's out for a month. We've made our theater month, leave it in the theater for another 2 months or month, and then also sell it and see where the money comes in. I think you can do that pretty easily with these low budgets. So
for sure. Yeah.
Also, Brian Taylor as Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance, one of my favorite Ghost Rider movies because it is absolutely unhinged. It is one of the most unhinged Ghost Rider movies, and that's why I love it so much.
Yes.
I also really like the Crank movies because they make no sense. Those are just essentially. Remember, I think I've taken as like the the dad movies geezer teasers. Well, Crank movies were like that for 20-year-old kids, 20-year-old men. Like, Crank, Jason Statham, he's never gonna die. He has to keep his heart rate up to stay alive, kind of thing.
Yep.
And those were fun. And then obviously Ghost Rider: Spirit of Vengeance. I remember the scene everyone will remember the most. I think it's even in the trailer, but where he's like pissing fire at some point he's like pissing on something. It's like just fire. And I'm like, and Nicolas Cage really went unhinged in that. And I applaud the directors for allowing him to go full unhinged in that, because Ghost Rider.
Yeah, the main thing I remember about that is when he gets in that excavator or whatever it is and just turns it into some sort of vehicle of vengeance.
Yeah, and then when you see the behind the scenes of that movie, when it's Nicolas Cage and the face paint, they're gonna mask over him, he's really doing the neck twitches, really leaning into the Ghost Rider character rather than the Johnny Blaze character. So I love it. And Idris Elba is in that movie as well, for people who forget. So you can go
That's right.
check that
Yep.
out. Man, Jim, thank you for being on today. I really, really appreciate you being a guest host and filling in and going over this stuff, especially when we had so much Superman set photos to go over, because obviously I know how much that means to you.
Yeah.
Having some fun here. So thank you again. If people want to know what you're up to, what you're doing, do you have anywhere you'd like them to find you at?
I'm pretty much HF 605 or 605 on everything. So that's like Harrison Ford 605. I'm on pretty much every gaming console and social media under that name.
I can
so
confirm this.
If you want to see me,
this. That is true.
so if you want to get a hold of me somehow and complain about my hot takes, go ahead. Or if you want to back me up, feel free to do that too.
Awesome.
How about you, Chris? If people want to hear about what you think about, I was going to say the new Fantastic Four stuff, where can they get a hold of you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram, Valdan87, VALDAN87, or Video Game Systems of the same name as Jim says. Like, keep it simple, keep it all across the board there. For that, Jim, do you feel comfortable enough to take us out of the show if I ask you where they can find all the episodes of Superhero Slate?
Yeah. So, as always, please visit superheroslate.com. It's got the show notes. It'll have all the pictures we've talked about, the Hellboy trailer, everything that you're looking for. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, or anywhere that you receive your podcasting media. And if you really want to support the show, go to superheroslate.com/store and get your official swag there. I myself have several shirts. I know you have an entire wardrobe of Superhero Slate related gear.
I had to make sure I wasn't wearing one. I'm like, did I put one on? Sometimes I'll wear it for the show. So.
I got to say, I really like my long sleeve shirt from there. I really dig that one. So, yeah. And then if you want to be a super fan, such as myself, all you got to do is share the show with a buddy, share the show with a friend, and come back next week and see what everyone's got to say then.
Yeah, that's right. Thank you so much, Jim, and we will see you guys next week.
Bye.